But we have the Air Force, now we're going to have the Space Force.
Our adversaries have transformed space into a warfighting domain already, and the United States will not shrink from this challenge.
Space Force is not astronauts with laser guns. This seems like a fear-based policy with a science fiction name, as opposed to something that we actually need to ensure our national security. We basically have a Space Force right now, and the idea for a separate branch of the military is not new. It's basically led out of the Air Force. There's nearly 30,000 military personnel devoted to space.
So if you're talking about any kind of space force or any kind of military use of force in space, I would say it's more a case of interfering with the way that the satellites work. So either interfering with how they perform their function or destroying them completely. But you don't actually have to have much of an effect on a satellite tipping out of its orbit for it to be rendered useless. There's a number of ways that you might be able to do that. There's some talk at the moment about using neutron beams to fire a very concentrated beam at electronics, which will fry electronics, and that would obviously render it useless. You don't need to have a huge impact on satellites in order to render them useless, but it is quite tricky doing it. I mean, you know, the idea of having killer sats and what have you is some way away just yet. There's been no field of human endeavour that hasn't where we haven't tried to gain an advantage over our adversary, and there's nothing to suggest that space will be any different from that.